world heavyweight float. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair fake it float. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated folk. Awesome buds by my side, the crowd rock talk family. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Yo, what up, friends? Welcome to Ball and Buds. We are back again. Yes, it is a great Friday, and I am happy and blessed to be here with Julius, the King of Hearts, Daniel. Yes, we are having him at Country Box next Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo. Plaza Mariachi. It ain't just going to be a big party with Jimmy and the fam. No. We are also going to have some amazing boxing, and that includes this brother right here. You can find him on Instagram at 86God. It's right above us up there as well. He is representing that Swift Kick Gym, and we will talk all about that. How are you feeling today, my friend?
I'm amazing. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Awesome. No, I mean, we're super excited. Obviously, you bring your persona and everything when you come to the ring, and it brings a good vibe to Country Box, so we really enjoy having you fight there. Again, everybody, make sure you tap in with him. I see people piling in. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions for Julius, please pop them in the chat. Hit that like button. Helps us all out in the algorithm. Get this video out to more people. And as well, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, handy QR code up there at the top. Take you to all our social medias. All right, let's kick this bad boy off, shall we? Julius. So, I mean, you and I, we've talked in the back, and we've talked before at the fights and stuff. Again, you bring a real personality to boxing. So first, let's start off with that. This is my personal question that I want to start with. The King of Hearts moniker. Where did it come from? What does it represent about you and your as a boxer?
It's kind of a crazy journey to be at this age and say, you know what? I want to get punched in the face for a living. So that takes a little heart itself. You feel me? Like, so that's part of it. If you look up the King of Hearts, dealt with mental health issues. I started a nonprofit years ago in Florida called Fight for Mental Health. I dealt with suicide 7 years ago. Was an attempt, and it's kind of just propelled into a life-changing journey that I decided to just get in that ring and just follow that journey of boxing. This was in Ocala. This is middle central Florida. And ABC News in Gainesville covered this story. So they came in and they really got to look at, the life after the military and just had a struggle just putting pieces together like I'm sure everybody else has problems, right? So it was just more of not feeling sorry for myself, holding myself accountable in all aspects of my life, father, husband, just trying to be a good person all overall. And being in the boxing ring really helps. It helps shave that that anguish you go through sometimes. You can just kind of get it out in the gym.
Yeah, and so let's step back a little bit before we actually get to the gym and training part of things and talk more about your journey, because it is such a compelling and interesting story that people really want to hear more about. First of all, let's start with the fact that you are a veteran. You are a patriot. You served honorably in the Army and were also a paratrooper, which, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, being a paratrooper is one of the harder things to accomplish. Even being certified to become one is hard in itself. So it's not just a regular, military, position like in an office or something like I did. So you have and already an otherworldly kind of strength and valor behind you, and you also brought that to your life. Obviously, there is that transition when people get out of the military, and non-military people may not know this, but when someone is to get out of the military and you're used to such a different life than what the civilian world is, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into the civilian world trying to swim. I can as well attest to what you're talking about, as in, struggling to find a job and all of these other things that come along with that transition. So talk to us about that. I know you mentioned how that kind of led to a little bit of homelessness and other things that came with that, your mental health. So talk to us about that, and talk to us more about your foundation and how you use that journey of your mental health to actually advocate for others.
Yes, getting out of the military, it can vary for everyone. One of the biggest things that I think a lot of veterans will echo is just the transition of like the social movement. When you're in the military, the privates stay with the privates, the NCOs stay with the NCOs. We kind of have everybody kind of knows their place. You know where you can hang out, you know how you can dress. Everything's kind of structured. Now you get out here in the civilian sector and there are no holes barred. It's whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, and there's just no rules. And there are rules to the land, but it's
Got it.
the social construct is different. So when I got out, you don't know how to dress. My dad came from Trinidad, so I don't even know about half of the Black history stuff I probably should know about. So you're
Mm,
growing up like a third world kid in an American society. It's just twisted. You ain't never cool enough. You ain't never in enough. You become the reject, and then you carry that all the way through your life, and now you just have resentment. And so I can admit some of those things played a factor in the mental health meter.
mhm,
And
mhm,
when I got out, and I was struggling to find work. I was trying different careers, selling cars, selling drugs, you name it. I've tried all of it, and I got to the point where I've always been a carpenter. It was a family trade. So it was something that I could survive on, and I moved from Florida to Tennessee just because the market was crazy down there in Florida. I couldn't find
mm.
it was the price points. And
Okay.
I love my Mexican coworkers, you know what I'm saying? So I love those guys in the construction field, and I know it's a touchy subject. But the pricing that they have down in Florida was very difficult to compete with. So I came to
Hmm.
Tennessee where you got your Brentwoods, you got your Franklins, and as a finished carpenter, I was able to not just survive, but kind of put my family in a better situation. But I couldn't do that in Florida. So me and the wife started having issues. She had to go back to her mom in Cali, and now I'm by myself, no kids, no wife, and I'm just trying to make money and fork it over, and it was like you got to a crash out point where you just like, you know what, I'm ready to go. And I stepped into the road in front of the semi and just started like running to it. And the thoughts of my son was essentially the saving grace that day. And continues to be a saving grace, to have a kid that all he wants to do is just be around you, and how many dads miss that opportunity when their kids really want to hang out, and you let all the work stress, all the life stress be so important. You just can't look at the little things. And my spiritual connection is honestly the saving grace. It's not just boxing, I got saved a long time ago, but I lost my way. So reconsecrating like that lifestyle of saying, hey, you know what, I got a spiritual compass, because you could lift weights all you want to. You could hit the bag all day. That ain't gonna win the fight if you ain't got no will, no spirit, no heart. So, we had to dig into some other fabric. And I sucked when I first started boxing. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was getting beat by every pillar and post that was in the gym. People, you know what? Is that guy Julius in the gym? Let me come spar him today. But I just kept coming back for more. And I did my first amateur fight. I fought Daniel Placid. He was the runner-up for Golden Gloves that year. The guy's like
Hmm.
6'5". I didn't even know I was fighting him. When he came into the back area, I'm like, who's fighting that guy? And they're like,
Wow.
you. So that was my first fight, and we went a couple of rounds, and it was good work, but it was like I didn't understand the boxing world. So I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? I gotta figure this out. So what I did is I saved $3,500, and I called my buddy Daniel Bailey. He's in the featherweight division, and he was in Florida too. and we just grabbed some flights and a rental car and an Airbnb, and we snuck into Terrence Crawford's camp. He was yeah, crazy, right? So
Nice.
he
Clip that.
he's actually competing for the Sean Porter championship at that time. It's
Mm-hmm.
21. So I just walked in like an idiot, and I'm just like, yeah, let me hit this bag, let me get changed up. And then that white G-Wagon show up. And all you can hear the little whispers running in, buzz here, buzz here, buzz here, buzz here. And I'm not really aware of what's going on and like how their gyms work and how pro gyms work. So he got out of that car and walked. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was as if I had a sticker on my head that said, come talk to me. He walked past everybody and came straight to me like, you can get it, and so can your homie. And I was like, yo, I'm just here to watch you, champ. I'm not here for none of that smoke. And maybe some guys would have tried to spar him, but I was smart. I did not do that. I said, I just want to come learn. And he was like, you might be the most humble guy I see in this gym right now. He said, you can stay. Let me stay all week. So, I mean, I got to watch him spar. He sparred.
Hey,
Uh,
nice.
I watched it, and you can't have your phone out. You cannot pull your phone out in
Oh
them kind
yeah.
of gyms.
Oh yeah. No.
No. But I watched him spar Kyron Davis, he was 13 days away from fighting David Benavidez at the time.
Okay.
And
Fighting
that
this
was
weekend, David Benavidez.
there you go. And he fought Kato Kane, who just got signed by Zuffa Boxing. Shout out to Kato Kane. So I mean, he brings in great work. Guys are excited to get in there with him. And I mean, he would spar like the whole session orthodox. Then get another guy,
Wow.
go southpaw. It was crazy. And
Mhm.
I'm like a little kid. Everybody else is trying to look cute and train. I'm just sucking it all in. Like, yo, this is crazy. And I ask him questions every chance I got. Like, if he would answer, and it was cool. Him, Bernie the boxer, super cool. Coach Rez was there. I didn't really get to talk to Boban that much. He was in the sauna just watching everybody. But it was cool just to see what a championship level athlete
Mhm.
what he's going to do, what is his isms, what is routines. And then I mean,
Yep.
I paid his strength and conditioning coach for some blueprints from them years ago. So I changed everything that I thought I was doing and what I thought was boxing. And I'm in that developmental phase, 5 years in, and here we are. I'm loving this journey.
Yeah, it seems like you're enjoying every step of the way. Before we go further, David Benavidez is fighting Gilberto Ramirez this weekend. Who you got?
I mean, the Mexican monster is undeniable.
Okay.
He's just gonna, and it's not just because of everybody's just excited because of David Benavidez. He understands how to create silent pressure. He don't have to throw. He finds a way to
Mm.
get you throwing, and once he opens you up, now he's gonna punches in combinations, and it's a treat to watch a guy that had to overcome obesity and just the different things that he had to
Mhm.
overcome. And
Right.
what a beautiful weekend for us to watch those hardcores get in there, and the Mexican pride they're going to show. And then we
Yep.
get to host the only pro boxing card out there on Cinco de Mayo. So this is crazy.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yes, I'm super excited. Yeah, no, he was actually on First Take on ESPN earlier, and he mentioned that he wants his next three fights to be Bevo, Beterbiev, and hopefully Canelo. If Canelo stops running and ducking, but we may never see that. So, anyways, it is what. Hey, I'll call Canelo out every time for that. I don't care.
Well, you got to
Um,
give David some credit. It's his job. It's his job to call people out. When you're this revered and you got that kind of size on you, this is
mhm,
the kind of society, like, if you ain't 50 and 0, you a bum. And it's crazy that people
mhm.
are like that. You look at our records and you're like, oh, he trash. Well, why don't you get in there with him then, since he's trash? David
Facts,
Benavidez is
facts.
not just a record. He's not just a title. Watch his camps, like watch his actual comment. The guy is really put in, and it's not just him. His father, he got his kid out there, man. Everybody, the whole family affair. And I love that when you see that whole family in there, you like, yo, they serious. They serious.
Well, speaking of you, you are a huge family man. You've talked about that already today. So, one thing you wanted to talk about specifically was your son working as your mitt coach when you were self-coaching yourself. Tell us about that. Tell us about how that is to work with your kids, who obviously you love very much.
I didn't know that was going to be a thing. When I first started, I went through, I guess, the tragedy of trying to take yourself seriously in a
Mm-hmm.
world that won't take you seriously. And so I found myself in high company with good coaches, good programs, and they won't train you because your age. They won't train you because you didn't get on clenbuterol. They didn't train you. It's a lot of crazy dark stuff
Damn.
when you're trying to take yourself seriously and you put yourself in these environments. You got to take the good and the bad. And so I found that I couldn't find that chemistry. And in Ocala, where I was living at, they didn't have a boxing program. In Nashville, they have a very amazing amateur program, but there's not much of a pro other than Team Combat League. There's really not like a pro
Mm-hmm.
element. So out here, having my son just coming to the gym at first, it was like, okay, just have him come watch Pops get in there and do it. But then he was showing interest. And once your child shows interest, it's your job to catch that. So I said, hey,
Yeah.
I know, maybe just getting hit isn't like something a kid is excited to do. I said, let's just start you off with catching some punches. And I would have to,
Mm-hmm.
when you got your son, you kind of have to monitor how hard you're hitting because you don't want to, as a
Right.
cruiserweight, be throwing your son's shoulder out. So we went ahead and purchased those paddles. And
Okay.
that enabled him. I could hit as hard as I want to. He wasn't feeling nothing. But fast forward, he's like 6'1" and he's 15 and he's catching everything. So it's a whole nother vibe now. And he's gonna be walking me
Nice.
out. He's gonna walk me out again for this fight. It's exciting just because look, I'm gonna die in like 40 years. He's gonna be the one taking over. So I need him to understand this is how you do business. This is how you
Mm.
conduct yourself. I'm not
Right.
hiding McDonald's in under the covers at night. We're disciplined. I've been intermittent fasting for 12 months. I've stayed the same
Mm-hmm.
weight for 8 months. So this ain't a fat camp. This is a get better camp.
Yeah. And so, do you see him wanting to actually get into the fight game then? And does he have interest to actually be a boxer?
You know, he's in the fight game. He just ain't fighting. But
Okay. Okay. There you
he's
go.
enjoying. I think too many times we're so ready to give kids CTE. It's like
Mm.
maybe if a child understood why they were doing something, they understood the theology of things. So I make him watch
Right.
film with me. We'll go watch. Hey, I like the way Tank set Leo Santa Cruz up in the 6th round after he threw lazy 3 jabs. So we just go through
Mm-hmm.
real film, and it's been hard to find coaching because coaches don't really know that film. They watched their old classics, but they're not actually watching interviews such as yours. They're not watching the boxing voice. They're not really tapping into the culture. So for
Mm.
me, all I knew when I was learning how to box was the boxing voice with Nestor Gibbs is my guy. So like I always just enjoyed that New York. Just the whole vibes was crazy. So like I learned because they were talking about like contracts and why this isn't going well and why that's not going well. And when you're self-managed, how else are you gonna learn unless somebody either takes you there under their wing or you really into this kind of content like you guys post. So this is good for somebody that maybe wants to do what I'm doing and saying, hey, but what are the steps? Do
Right.
your research. And that's kind of where we started was, with my son, hey, do your research. I don't necessarily put it on him to come up with all the combos. I come up with things. I'm more so on the onus of him having the correct form so we don't have torn
Okay.
ligaments, things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, because I'm so cognizant of what's going on with him, it's actually making me a lot sharper now.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that sharpness. So, you have a fight this coming up Tuesday. You're fighting Armando Reeves. The record does not belay, the fighters that he has fought. But when you're preparing for this fight specifically, or in general in your camp, how does your camp usually work? And another twist to that question, and I want you to just kind of work it into your answer, is you do own your own construction business. So how do you manage both a business, which is you know, two full-time jobs in itself? I know, as I run a business myself, while trying to get ready for a professional boxing match.
You have to make your commitments before you start moving in any direction. I'm a man of my word. if I say something, I'm going to give every fiber of my being to get it done. And when you do finish carpentry like I do, you better be like that because you're working in these $1 million houses and they're not going to be friendly to the excuses. And so I'm used to operating at a high level where the stakes are always high. And so boxing kind of flows into that. When it segments into boxing, because I'm working 10, 12, 13-hour days too. And then what I do is I typically will leave the house between 6 o'clock and 6:30. And I get up at like 4 in the morning. And I'll return from work at like 4:45 to 5 o'clock. I have just enough time to like make that turnover, eat my first meal because I only eat one meal a day. So I mean that's usually camp life. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I only
that's right.
so I'm just disciplined. So, I have my one meal, I try to stuff that in, boom. And then if I don't get it before we change over for the gym, then I just don't eat until after the gym and we go a whole day. And
Ooh.
and when you have to make yourself go through those kind of trenches, yeah, you're not playing no games in the ring because you don't have time to. At my age, you really fall asleep at the wheel. That's terminal damage. And so when I have a high value target such as Armando, and anybody that's in front of me in the ring becomes a high value target, I have to annihilate you. So we study him, we obsess over him. If he's got a fight out there, we look at it, we check isms. You know, everybody doesn't do that, but that's what we do. We plan this out like we playing for the Super Bowl, and I intend to show that there are levels to this game. I couldn't care if he was 30-0. Like, that's how I'm supposed to perform. That's how I'm supposed to conduct myself. And he's kind of, he was my afterthought. I never cared. I didn't know who this guy was. And so we luckily were fortunate enough he was available, but I really don't care nothing about him. I just want to get him up out of there and get to the next guy.
Because it was supposed to be Jalen Green, right? And you had the Russell Harris saga. Tell us about that. What happened there?
Well, so Jalen Green, I already smacked him up. That was in March, and you know what? He's just a bad little kid, and he needed some discipline, and so I just
Damn.
gave it to him. I had no intentions of doing anything, but he did some little UFC fist to the face thing, and you try stuff like that when I'm on that kind of energy, and then you gonna see what's gonna
Right.
happen. So
Mhm.
and I actually was gonna fight him differently, but since he wanted to get that talking to, I talked to him in that ring and I drug it out. And but I don't think that's gonna be the case this time. I got different energy right now. I do kind of have a chip on my shoulder, so poor Armando, poor Armando. But the
Are you
Russell thing,
expecting? Are you
huh?
expecting just a first round knockout? Is that what we're talking for, Armando? Are we
No,
talking first round knockout?
I'm not gonna be known for first round knockouts. I'm gonna be known for
Okay.
irritating you, making you wanna get out of that ring, and that's pretty much what's been happening the last couple of fights. They just like, look, I'm good. I'm going home. So that's cool.
Mhm.
However I get a win, my hand's getting raised. I don't know what first round knockout feel like. So I'm like, who cares? If I get it, I get it. But I don't know. I want to really put some physical on them. I don't want it to go that fast. This ain't go that mild.
I got you excited. I got you excited. I got you. I'm sorry. I got a little excited.
This
I
ain't go
saw
that
you
mild. We
last
got to
fight.
do our
I
thing. But
saw
let me
you
tell you,
last fight. You put that work on that dude last fight. But go ahead. Yeah.
we said some things to him in the ring, and that's why I prefer to just leave the talking to the ring. But Russell Harris and his team thought it was a smart idea to call me out after that fight.
Uh
So the
oh.
very next morning, I'm getting calls. Hey, we coming to your city. I'm on your bumper. I'm like, this bumper way too big for you, boy. So they just kept going and going and going. And once you done poked the bear, now I'm gonna start harassing you. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
even the other night, we're still going back and forth on Instagram, but I'm usually not into that kind of stuff. It's kind of irritating. You just want to get to the juice. I just couldn't believe he
Right.
called out at the last minute, and his excuse was that I'm not quitting my job so I could beat you, and I got kids, and I gotta pay rent. And I'm like, my God, what kind of fear got into your life where you gotta act like this? This is not good. I gotta pray for my brother. But you know what? As somebody that's about to turn 40 this year, when these parents got these bad little kids, just send them in the ring to me. It's okay. We'll take care of them. So we're gonna have fun with Armando because him and Jalen been sparring with Russell. I guess this is like a little Grand Prix they're coming up with, and like if I beat everybody in the camp, I get Russell. But I think Russell's trash, so I can't wait for him to actually get some courage,
Ooh.
call Ashley, and come find out what actual skills look like. And here's the thing, I actually directly contacted him. They were working around management, this and that. No. I got right to the source, and that's when he turned into the big little baby. Oh, I don't know why you're saying this stuff. Oh, I got to work. Oh, so I'm like, you know what? You got sometimes I get it. Mental health is a thing. So I'm gonna let him slide. I'm gonna let him get his life together. But man, I'm telling you what, y'all gonna have fun when that fight get announced.
Yeah, shout out to everybody watching on Instagram. Elk Boy Sinatra, he's dying at our conversation right now. Shout out to Jen Jones. Hope to see you at Country Box this weekend, lady. Come join us for Cinco de Mayo. And AM23 for photography. Shout out my brother Omar. But anyways, yeah, everybody watching on Instagram, YouTube, and Millions. Let's not forget to shout out millions.co. Thank you for hosting this stream with Julius, the King of Hearts, Daniels. Y'all, if you want to do interviews, if you're a content creator like me, or if you're an athlete like this and you want to be interviewed, millions.co is a great place to go build your brand profile. It is free to join, so go check out millions.co. I guess we've covered a lot here. We've covered pretty much everything, the kind of question I guess we missed on, and it's more about, I guess, the camp that you work with, your gym in particular, Swift Kick. Right, this is very special to your heart. Go ahead and talk to us about Swift Kick, the owner and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, shout out to Bernard Swift Robinson. He's out in Vegas right now. He'll be back in time for the fight. He wants to see David Benavidez, and then he's gonna see the Black Monster when he get back. I'm gonna go ahead and smack Armando up. But no, it's been cool because I when I came to Tennessee, I really didn't have an understanding of the landscape. So I actually did reach out to Nestor Gibbs, shout out again to Boxing Voice, and I was like, look, where do I go? So he's doing research trying to figure out, man, where can I put this kid at? And so I shopped a couple of different areas. I stopped at different gyms. The reason why I stopped at Swift was because there is no pro boxing element there. And it was a completely just open landscape, and Bernard just kind of turned over the gyms, like, do your thing. So it just gave me an environment where I can get to work. We bring sparring in. Shout out to DeCarlo Patton, the general. We brought him in for camp, 5-0, 4 KOs, about 100 amateur fights. So, I got to feel all the 100 opponents on me this camp. And it was fun. We worked, we sharpened, and then we critiqued. So when I get done with the camp, we go home for the night, and on the way home, we all discuss. I just let everybody criticize, all the way down to my my daughters. Hey, what did I do wrong? What do I need to work on? I don't need the compliments. I need the criticisms. Because then what I do is I go home and I watch some film of what I did in the gym, and then we go back and we set the next day. And we kind of work off of that. And shout out to Emerson Davis. He just kind of came in and just started videoing for us. And we really built a cool brotherhood. And he came out to the last fight. So we're slowly assembling the team. It's just, my son has really helped in the absence of having help. He just comes in and he's not just holding the mitts. He's motivating you and encouraging you. And I get in touch with the youth because having a kid that age, you get to understand what the youth is looking for. And also when it comes to fights, what they're trying to see. And you'll be surprised that a lot of these kids ain't just trying to see first round knockouts. They love the build up to the fights. They love the pop culture. They love the press. They love all that stuff. So, shout out to TBB management for bringing me a bunch of cronies that I can knock up. I appreciate y'all. So keep bringing them, and make sure you don't forget to bring Russell Harris when he gets out of that fat camp, whenever he gets out of that fat camp, and he got to get in shape. He's got to get his skills together. He's got to stop moving them heels like that and come see me. We're not afraid of nobody. I fear God. I don't fear none of these cronies out here. Let's have fun. Hold on. I didn't hear you. Your audio.
Oh,
there you go.
Now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. No, I was saying, for someone who, and you sent me the stories on Instagram, who was, running through the streets, working out and calling you out while he's mid-workout. Like, come on now. How you going to fake now and back out now when you was just talking all that
He
cash
wasn't
money
working
shit?
out. He was running the Wendy's, and he just late for work. These guys just
Oh,
look.
that's great.
They make careers, and and I'm gonna tell you, this is not just for little men like this. It's also for a lot of these bigger fighters. They doing all this extra stuff. It's fun to talk. It's fun to get to it, but then go check the clock and see who's really putting in those rounds, who's really putting in work, and not just saying you're putting in work. Are you leveling up your skills? Or are you just trying to
Right.
find the easiest sparring partner that makes you feel like you feel stronger today? And that's what a lot of these guys are doing. They duck in the good sparring. You know how many guys was ducking sparring this camp? Unbelievable. It got so bad. Yeah, let's spar. Let's spar. Then they tell you like 10 minutes and you've been in the gym. Oh, I can't make it. But then they'll tell you, I'm not ducking you. I mean, sparring has been so hard to get. So what we did is we
Yeah.
looked at for this particular camp because I'm, sparring. I'm fighting Armando. I felt like he was kind of like Russell's size anyway, and so we
Okay.
had the right sparring partner anyway. So we really, I don't have the funds and the means to be bringing 15 sparring partners. I'm not David Benavidez. When you got guys that will show up and give you the right kind of work, and I'm not just talking that pat, like we really get to it. So and the people deserve this. This is a holiday that's not just about getting off work. The Mexicans, they have their place here, just like we all have our place here. And it's
Right.
nice to celebrate their independence, their freedom. And most people don't even really study or look at their history and their culture and just the constant things that they're dealing with in this pulsating America. So it's cool to get down with them too. Like, hey, let's turn up for them. They're gonna have at the Plaza Mariachi, they're gonna have games, food. It's gonna be an all-day parade, and then it's gonna finish out with the cherry on the top, getting my hands raised.
Hey, getting your hand raised will be a very much a cherry on top to which will be a tremendous Cinco de Mayo show at Plaza Mariachi, Nashville, Tennessee. Go get, if you want to sit ringside now, those are the only tickets that they're selling this time around are those ringside seats. So if you want them front rows, which I know you do, you go to countrybox247.com and buy your ticket today. If not, the rest of the tickets, your general admission is free this time around. They
Come on.
are blessing you with a free show. If you don't show up now, when are you going to show up and find out to the greatness that is Country Box, the biggest boxing in Nashville? You gotta be there. Show up and join us. I'll be there. Julius will be there. You're going to have Rick Ross. You're going to have Cashville Ace. You're going to have Al Bernstein. You're going to have Albert Hainsworth. You're going to have the whole crew, Ringmaster Mike.
And I'm gonna tell you what, hold on. I'm gonna tell you what. Hey, Albert Bernstein, you better stop talking crap about me in that ring when I'm in there. I'm watching you. Look, you gonna have to get some sparring with me. All that talking you doing, oh, I don't like all that showman. I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna do it just for you. I'm gonna do it just for you, Albert. You better show me some love this time.
You know you better put some respect on the Hall of Famer's name, sir.
Hey, they gotta put respect on the king. You feel me? They gotta put respect on the king. You know why? Because I'm doing that dirty work. I'm getting in that ring. I'm gonna show you what's up. Come on out. See me. Witness me.
Hey, he is no joke. I watched him for the first time last time I saw him in the ring, and it was a delight. I was there front row. It was fun to watch. It was a joy. He knocked this dude out. I don't even remember dude's name, but it don't matter. What you do need to know is his name, and his name is Julius, the King of Hearts. Daniel fighting next Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, Plaza Mariachi, Country Box. Check out Country Box official on Instagram, and as well on Instagram, check out Julius Daniel at 86 God. It's right up there representing that Swift Kick gym. Shout out to Bernard Swift Kick Robinson, who, by the way, is a 3-time world kickboxing champion. So it might not have been a boxing gym before you got there. It might have been MMA only, but it don't matter because he's one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. So to learn from any champion is to be a champion.
That's it.
And that's what we're trying to do here. There you go.
So,
hey, brother, sign us out. Let everybody know whatever you want them to know, and we'll see them next Tuesday.
I thank everybody for tuning in. I just want to let y'all know God loves you. I love you. Ball Buzz love you. And look, we're just trying to make sure you guys have a good May 5th. If you got some mental health issues, hey, look up 86 Guy. Talk to me. DM me. I'm open. I'm willing to have a conversation because that's where the healing starts.
Nah, man, and that's awesome. All the work you do, the different organizations you work with, that's obviously a blessing as well. So I know the community thanks you. Country Box, we thank you. We're happy to see you here next Tuesday. Again, everybody, next Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, catch Julius and your boy, the sports professor. We will be at Plaza Mariachi, Cinco de Mayo. Free tickets, countrybox247.com. We'll see you on Cinco de Mayo. For everybody else, y'all be out there. Y'all work hard. Y'all be successful. Be blessed. Have an amazing weekend, and we will catch you next Tuesday. Holla.
Later.
Bye.